I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh in 1971 and began life as everyone else does, building a career. I got married, and I didn't have Pitt very much on my mind for about 30 years. And then I renewed an acquaintance with Keith Schaefer, who had been an undergraduate when I was. I saw Keith at a Fiesta Bowl game in Phoenix, and he said, "Do me a favor, join the Alumni Association." I didn't realize that you had to join the Alumni Association. I thought that membership came by being an alum, so that was news to me. But I did join the Alumni Association because once I found the website, I was so impressed with what they were doing, I wanted to be a part of that. Pitt is just this universe of people and opportunities and things to learn and places to go and see. And once you leave with an undergraduate degree or a graduate degree, somehow you get the impression that that's the end of the relationship with the University of Pittsburgh, and it is not. It's so enriching to make Pitt for life, because when you are engaged with the University of Pittsburgh, you are reminded of the world that exists here and the opportunities that you have to give back to that world and the opportunities that you have to learn from this universe that is Pitt. And through your engagement, you find tremendous enrichment. So rather than just allowing your relationship with the University of Pittsburgh to be for 4 years or 6 years or 8 years, if you do graduate and undergraduate work here, why not make it a lifelong journey with the university? You will find it very enriching. That enrichment very often leads to a sense of gratitude, and you'll find ways to give back for those coming after you. There are opportunities for career services. I know that particularly right now, our country has been through a very difficult time. There has been a lot of downsizing in large corporate organizations, small businesses the same, and for the first time in many years, we have alumni who are perhaps not in a work situation that would be ideal for them. There are career services that are targeted through the Alumni Association and Career Development Department in Student Affairs at Pitt, specifically to alumni. And they're not necessarily focused on placement, but they are focused on networking, webinars to help you understand what is attractive in the marketplace today to employers, how to write resumes, things that perhaps are skills that are not quite as well honed as they might have been 20 or 30 years ago. So career services is, I think, a big emphasis right now of interest for our alumni. The ability to advocate for the University of Pittsburgh. It's no secret that state budgets throughout the country, as well as federal budgets, are being decreased, and resources available for higher education are probably not going to be much greater than they have been, and in many cases less. And that's where, as alumni for the University of Pittsburgh, we can be in front of the legislature. We can write letters to our representatives, letters to the editor. We can let them understand the economic impact that the University of Pittsburgh has on Western Pennsylvania and is for the entire state of Pennsylvania. We can remind them that the research money that comes into Pitt is targeted for the specific research for which it was obtained. So that doesn't help us in terms of our general fund budget. We can be those kinds of advocates for the university. That is engagement with the university. We also have the ability to attend events. There is the Osher Institute for Lifelong Learning. You can register for classes in that and actually learn about things like robotics and drones and what's happening in the contemporary world that you may not be aware of. And then there are events which allow you to engage with the undergraduate population. The Alumni Association does once a year dinner with 12 Panthers. I'll be doing that tomorrow night with 12 undergraduates. this is one of my favorite events of the year because it's so exciting. I won't be able to sit down for several hours over a nice meal with 12 undergraduates, understand what their majors are. I'm always astounded because their majors are majors that didn't even exist when I graduated from Pitt in 1971. So I often have to ask, what does that mean? You know, what are the bioethics or whatever they're working, bioengineering of molecular, at the molecular level. It's very interesting to hear what they're doing. I find it fascinating. I have my own hope renewed in future generations because I know that many of the problems that when I sit isolated and think about myself, other people are working on. So that's an exciting way to be engaged. And then last but not least is just the sheer fun of attending events. There are events, lectures. This year we did 2 lectures, the Alumni Association on the election. 2012 was an election year, and we took one of them and looked at the demographics of the Electoral College, not from a political perspective, not whose agendas would win, but demographically how the political scene looks from the Electoral College perspective. And then afterwards, after the election, what the impact of the party or the person who was elected might have on our landscape, financial landscape, tax landscape, policy landscape moving forward. And also, there are athletic events to attend. So some people find that interesting, others find the lectures and the intellectual stimulation. And there is also the opportunity to simply be engaged with alumni of your school year or people who came before or after you, which is always interesting because it helps you to connect with the entire lifelong perspective that is the University of Pittsburgh. We celebrated this fall our 225th anniversary, and it was quite a celebration with the conclusion of a capital campaign. That was extremely exciting. But to put into perspective where you fall on that line of 225 years is always an interesting thing to do when you can sit down with alumni who graduated before you and then with the students who are coming after you.